Muted.
Good afternoon. I want to welcome everybody to today's webinar from Prospect Now entitled Big Data Plus Analytics Equals Big Pipeline. I want to welcome everybody. This is the first time we'll be speaking to you this year, and we hope like we are off to a very quick and rapid start to 2016. We hope you're enjoying the same success that we are. And here to help you today, I'm really pleased to introduce and have our founder who will speak to you today. But before we do that, I wanted to kind of give you a snapshot of Prospect Now and where we've come from and where we are today. And then I'm going to let Steve talk about something really, really exciting that we're really just think is going to be a game changer for you guys, for the brokers and agents and other people that use Prospect Now to locate the owners of properties in your business. And so if you'll notice here, an interesting graphic on your screen in the lower left-hand corner, just this graphic about being able to see which buildings are likely to list and which ones are likely to refinance. And so I'll use that as a teaser as we talk about who we are and where we're going. So Prospect Now, it's interesting. We got started back in 2008, and we've grown organically over time to be what we consider to be the leading provider of property information and ownership information with contact information to the commercial real estate professional market. All based on the web, millions in revenue and profitable today, and a very impressive list of paying customers, the biggest and brightest names in commercial real estate and commercial lending. And we have over 3,000 paying users today. I'm Warren Nagatani. I'm the general manager. I started back here very early in 2010, and to see where Prospect Now has grown from a product and company perspective between now and then is really stunning. And to see, as I talk to customers that have been here a long time, to see how they use their product and the changes and the difference it's made in their business is just amazing. And I think it's beyond our wildest dreams. However, I will say that it is not beyond Steve Wayne's wildest dream. This is the vision of the company that he had when he started this a long time ago. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Steve, and I'm going to let him talk about what we had to announce today. So Steve, are you there? Hold on, let me make sure. There he is. And now he's coming at you. Steve?
Hey Warren, how you doing?
I'm well, thank you. Welcome, Steve.
Thanks a lot. You can hear me okay?
I can hear you great.
Okay, outstanding. All right, well thanks everybody for attending. Yeah, this is for us this is a pretty exciting day because what I wanted to do is walk everybody through what the original vision is for Prospect Now, and actually how that vision has not changed in the slightest, but will be greater realized from today and moving forward. And so I think a lot of you know Prospect Now as a tool to help you get through the LLC to find the true owner of a property and get their phone number and contact info. And when I was in commercial real estate, I was just blown away with the amount of research that was required for me to put together a prospecting list, right? And what was I trying to do? Well, I was trying to contact building owners that wanted to sell. And so my initial objective was just to eliminate all of that research, but I knew that I still had to do the hard work of picking up the phones, sending out the mailers, and doing the marketing, right? I was just so struck by the inefficiency associated with doing the research that was kind of the first major problem that I was focused on in terms of building Prospect Now. And so I think it's fair to say that that we are the leading provider of commercial building contact information, and I think we've done a pretty good job of largely solving that problem around getting to the true owner of the property. Obviously, we can't do it all the time, but I think it's fair to say that for the majority of cases, we can. So then that leaves the second piece, and what's so interesting about this is it's the whole reason, right, that we want the contact information. We want it because we want to market to the building owner. And so this gets into the second piece. And so, what is Prospect Now is it is the predictive real estate marketing platform for anybody who calls on building owners or tenants. So what does that mean? Okay, so what we want to do is we want to make it so that you, as a customer, can work less and make more money. That's basically what it comes down to. We always knew that, and in fact, if you've been on our webinars, we've always talked about how to discipline yourself to make the prospecting calls and to do the work. And I'm not saying we're going to eliminate that entirely. You're still going to have to get up in the morning and do what you do. But our mission is to eliminate unnecessary, wasteful marketing. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So the next question is, why do we do this? Why are we doing, what we're doing? And that is really centered around helping you guys make more money. That's really what it is. So our objective is, as I said kind of in the previous statement, is really to eliminate this unnecessary marketing. What is the point? I just remember when I was a broker is, most of the people that I would talk to were not selling their building, right, at the time that I was talking to them. And, a lot of the effort that I put in was just wasted effort. And I think what's so exciting about this is where we're going, not just in the real estate industry, but if you look at technology across the board, the holy grail of marketing is to literally read the mind of your prospective customer. And at that moment when they're thinking about whatever it is that you provide, or when that need comes upon them, there you are, right, at that exact right time. That is the bullseye, right? And so where we're going with this is when that real estate owner is contemplating selling their asset, we want you to be the first one there, and we want you to be the one knocking at the right time, right? So this is the course for which we've set our sails, right? And it's a high ideal, right? We know that we can't get there perfectly, short of some kind of artificial intelligence, which may be coming soon, right? But we know that this is the course for which we want to sail. So if you think about what this means is how do we actually implement this? And so that's what I'm going to talk to you about today is how we can help you get to property owners that are considering or thinking about selling their property. And if you're on the finance side, we have a lot of customers that are in the banking side. Your objective is similar. It's just that you're looking for somebody who wants to refinance, right? So it's really these two events that that we're focused on. So I think if you look back at what we've done, over the last few years, in terms of building out our platform, I think one of the things that's differentiated us is we know that there are a ton of places where you can go once you have a listing and get that listing sold, right? Now, I don't know about the folks on the call, but I can tell you that for me, my challenge, provided I price my listing properly, my challenge when I was in commercial real estate was not centered around selling the stuff that I had. It was around getting more listings. That was the key. That was the holy grails. I wanted to get as many listings as I possibly could. If I priced them right, I could sell them, right? And so that's a whole other piece, right? Is figuring out how to price right and how to deal with your customer. But we're from a marketplace, right? We're not a marketplace. We are a platform designed to help you get listings. Or, if you're on the finance side, we're here to help you get refinances, right? Or find borrowers. So it's the same concept. And again, what's so interesting about this is while we are making we are adding a radical improvement to the product today. Um, the original vision is not changed in the slightest. This just gets us there more efficiently. It's pretty exciting. Um, so the what I want to talk to you about now is really centered around how we market today. And even if you were using Prospect Now yesterday, right? Like how you were doing it versus how you're going to be able to do it now. And I look at a lot of the marketing in real estate, and it truly is the shotgun approach, right? It's like if I throw enough darts at the dartboard, I'm going to find somebody that wants to sell or has a vacancy or et cetera, right? And so that, in fact, I was talking to somebody the other day about this, is how little the process has changed over the last, even 10 years. It's still pretty much, roll up your sleeves and get out there and meet as many people as you can and develop the relationships and what have you. And if you look at, on average, and obviously this varies by market, if you look nationally, it's about in a year, right? It's like 1 out of 25 properties is going to be listed for sale, right? So your objective is to get in there, develop that relationship, and be the right guy at the right time when that seller is considering selling, assuming you want to get a for sale listing. So 1 out of 25. So we know, that this is pretty much the average. Now, if you look at where we're headed here, the objective is to increase your odds. So what we've done is we have looked at properties over the last year. So we started working on this a year ago. And what we did is we started looking at properties that sold. And we said, okay, what do these properties have in common? What is causing somebody to sell their asset? Is there a correlation? Can we determine what this is? And so we developed a machine learning algorithm that analyzes and looks at the properties and starts to generate a scoring model around what these properties have in common. So you've probably been on webinars before, and we've talked about this before. We've talked about likely sellers and things you can do to improve your odds. For example, one that we've talked about a lot is owners that own multiple properties, right? If you call somebody that has more than one property, your odds are higher that they might be selling one of them. So that makes sense, right? Another one is building owners that might have a loan payment, coming due. And so these are things that we've talked about for years, and we know intuitively as real estate professionals that these things have a correlation, but mathematically, how do we know? And so what we wanted to do was prove it, right? And we wanted to, instead of just saying, yeah, well, this makes sense that if somebody's got a loan coming due, it's logical that they're either going to have to refinance or they're going to sell. Yeah, that works. I think that's a very logical approach. But now, with the addition of the technology that's available in the data science today, we can look and stop guessing and start actually scoring based off of these different parameters. So what we found is we looked at this model, and as I mentioned, we've been working on it for a year. We didn't want to come out with the product and just say, yeah, take our word for it, right? This works. We wanted to prove it to ourselves that this model that we built actually makes a difference and improves the probability. So what we found is, we tagged a bunch of properties last April, and we said, okay, these are the ones that our algorithm says are more likely to sell, right? And so then we followed the market in that area, and we looked at what actually happened. And what we found is that we had an uplift of between 68 and 135%. In terms of the percentage of number of properties sold in a given market. So what does that mean? I mean, when you think about it, it's kind of like when the steam engine came out, right? And they have the coal the coal car in the back, and they're shoveling coal into the steam engine, right? When that steam engine went from 1% efficiency to 2% efficiency, what did that mean to the size of the amount of coal that that steam engine had to carry. It got cut in half. It was huge. So what we're looking at here is an improvement of, you know, conceivably 100% in terms of your marketing effectiveness. So what does that mean to you, right? It means that if you're making, you know, I guess you have two choices, right? If you're making 50 cold calls today and you're calling building owners, you could theoretically make 25 and get the same results, right? Or you keep making 50 and make even more money, right? So, so it means this has tangible application to what, you know, to what you're doing as a commercial real estate broker. Now, this is not magic. This is actual science, right? And obviously, what we're doing is we're using the past to predict the future, and we know that sometimes the future is unpredictable, right? So we can't say, okay, you know, every single time this is going to happen or that. But what we can do is start to look at correlations. It's kind of, I've heard the term finding the signal through the noise. What signal and whether or not a property is going to sell. So, so that's what we're doing, and this is what is going to be available customers. So let's kind of dig in a little bit. You know, how does it actually work, right? So this is just a sampling of the things that we're looking at, different stuff. Okay, if you're a Prospect Now customer, you know that we have all kinds of data on commercial real estate, right? We know, is it owner occupied? Is it non-owner occupied? How big is it? Does it have debt on it? When was the loan originated? You know, how much is the loan? When was it last purchased? How long have they been holding it for? Is the owner an LLC, or is it an individual? Is it a trust? All this data, and so we have this huge opportunity to feed these data fields into our model, and then the model gets smarter with each update, which is so cool. So what we're looking at, this is, as I mentioned, this is a sampling of different things that we're looking at, and then we apply these algorithms to the future, right? So, you know, that's what's happening. And if you notice, if you log into your Prospect Now account, and Warren's gonna, you know, walk you guys through this here and just show you how it works. What's so funny about this is how simple the front end is to use this. Okay, it's just a checkbox, and it says likely sellers. It's binary, yes or no. Do you want to see the likely sellers? Yes or no. You check it, and it's going to filter out the ones that basically we're saying have a very, very low probability of selling in the next 12 months. So, you know, many of you may remember that, you know, a year ago we did this survey. This is kind of where this all started, is we conducted this survey on why people sold their property, right? So we sent out an email to like 100,000 commercial real estate brokers. If you're on this call, you might have participated in the survey, and we asked people, say, why did your last deal, why did the seller sell the asset? And what we found was that, you know, there are reasons, right? And now some of these we can't know, but others we can. And so this is kind of giving you a feel for the direction that we're going here. Is we are going to continue to optimize and add more and more capability to this model, so that ultimately, you know, the front end will remain really, really simple. You're not going to have to go in and do all these complicated searches and speeds and feeds and all. You just click a button, and we do the work for you, which, you know, that's always one thing about Prospect Now that I've always taken a lot of pride in, the fact that we've got all this true ownership information and data around the asset. And I just, to me, that was so cool. But I've also always been thinking about, for years, about how do we make it so that you can do less work, right? And it's just simpler and easier. So, you know, it's almost like we're shifting the burden of the complexity to our engineers, so that you guys can just benefit from this, right? That's the goal. So, you know, that survey, by the way, is up on our blog. You know, you can go up there and look at it. But to me, it's just really interesting, right? Like, I have a rental property in Austin, Texas, and I can tell you that, you know, nobody ever calls me on that property. But if they, I have no idea what's going on in Austin right now. I don't know what the market's doing. I certainly would welcome a phone call about that. And when you look at some of these reasons why people would sell, it's just really interesting. Like up at the top, a lot of it had to do with just tired of managing the property, or dealing with just retiring and wanting to downsize or what have you. So it's interesting to me how this whole thing developed. So moving forward, I wanted to share a little bit about what we found in terms of our scoring model, right? So again, this is kind of getting into the more of the details, but this is what we back tested, right? So this is just, it's kind of, if you look at the top column there, and again, I'm not trying to get too much into the weeds here, but yeah, for those of you that are interested, what we did is we looked at a given market and we said, all right, what was the percentage of properties that sold just in general? And we found it was about 3.5%. I think we did this study in Northern California. And then we looked at, okay, well, what percentage would sell if we use the predictive model, right? And so the scoring model on the left is the distribution of scores, okay? So what that means is that the higher you go on the scores, so if you go to the top, for example, if you go to the top 5% of scores, you see an uplift in terms of the percentage of properties that sold within that category of over 100%, right? And even at the top 50 at the bottom, it's still a 50% improvement. So, if you go somewhere in the middle, it's like right around, between, let's see, I guess 77% increase. So another way to think about that is that's an increase in the probability that if you just threw a dart at a property, right, or you're just flying over a market and you just choose a property, if you choose within the collection of properties that we identified as likely sellers, your probability of finding somebody that's going to sell in the next 12 months doubles, right? Again, this is going to vary. This isn't, like I said, it's not magic, but we can start to develop correlations between what sold and what will sell, and by back testing it ourselves, we've been able to figure that out. So that's a little bit about how this thing works. And then many of you have seen we're taking all these data sets from all these different sources and putting it together and cross-referencing all of this to develop the model. So I think now hopefully that gives you guys an overview of what this is. I think it's probably easier to show it to you. And again, as I mentioned, the front end is pretty basic, right? It's so simple that the complication is all in the back end, such that the front end is so simple. So I think you'll find it really easy to use. So Warren, why don't we show it to them and let these guys just see how it works. Hey, stand by there, folks. Actually, Warren is jumping back on the call. I think it kicked him out.
Check, check. Looks like I'm coming on here. Can everybody hear me?
Muted. Unmuted.
Okay, now everybody can hear me. Sorry about that, a little technical glitch. Yeah, so right now you can see the Prospect Now website, and this is really, really simple. Steve took a lot of time explaining why we're doing this, how it's beneficial to you, and really just a thumbnail scratch of how we're doing it behind the scenes. The great news is you don't have to do any of that, and I'm just going to show you what you have to do, and I have the easiest job on the webinar today. So it's real simple. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take you to the guided search, and we're going to build a list of properties. And this guided search is just a really easy way to get to exactly the types of properties you want.
And we're going to ask you the questions, and you simply have to choose. So we're looking for property owners. You can choose your location, whether it's a state, a group of counties, what have you, and it will again guide you through this. You can look for cities, you can look in zip codes, you can do a radius around a specific address if you want to find that, or you can even go on a map and use a polygon search and draw a shape, and we will find all the properties that you're looking for in that area. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm just going to choose cities. And if you do that within the county you're in, you can simply choose this city or cities that you want. And you can exclude what you don't want. I'm just going to keep it again simple and choose all in the county. The next thing you'll do here is choose your property type. And you'll notice here on your screen that you can choose from broad brush groups of commercial, industrial, multifamily, and even residential as well, or you can get specific and granular within each, okay? So maybe here I'm gonna go and do, let's do commercial office. And now that I've chosen the area and the type of property, I'm gonna look for potential sellers. So I'm gonna be looking to do listings as Steve talked about before. Now this brings me to an optional search filter that allows me to be very detailed in what I'm looking for, okay? Either on financial information or property characteristics. And you'll notice here in the shortcut area, there is a checkbox for properties most likely to sell in 12 months, okay? Notice that I'm looking at nearly 16,000 commercial offices in this particular county in all cities, and I can begin to do things like this. I can choose this, and this allows us to apply the predictive analytic model that Steve talked about, and you can see now we are predicting that these 4418 properties are likely to sell within the next 12 months. So we've effectively and actually eliminated 11,000 properties. So we're just saying, don't call those people. Don't market to them. Don't waste your time doing that, okay? Have somebody else do that if they want, but I want to go find the needle in the haystack. And while these aren't the actual needles, the needles are in here somewhere, okay? So real simple. You can furthermore even reduce this even more granularly. So we've talked about this a lot. Maybe owners with multiple properties that have properties that are likely to sell. So now you have a really targeted set of properties to go from. I can now save that search if I want and recall it at any time. I'm going to skip that and go right to the search results. And I'm just going to walk you through a real quick workflow, but you can see already how simple it was for you to eliminate 11,000 out of those 15,000 properties. Now you're focused clearly on the arrowhead, right? This is where you want to be. This is where you're going to get your uplift that Steve talked about before, okay? So on your screen shortly, you'll see the page rendering with all of the results, commercial offices in this particular county that we, using our predictive analytics, say that these are the most likely properties to sell in the next 12 months, okay? And because of that, I can go in here and, again, just like if you're familiar with ProspectNow, you can drill down, see the property information, including all of the data we use to predict whether this property will sell or not. You can see who the owner is. You can see the information behind the LLC and drive down and get some phone numbers. I'm just going to go and pick something down here that looks like a name that might be a little easier. And so here, for example, is a property. Let's take a look at it. And this is a commercial office, quite a large one. And here's Douglas Emmett as an LLC. I'm going to see if we can get a phone number. As Steve said before, we're very prideful in terms of how often we can get contact information. And so there you go. We have contact information, including phone numbers for the owner of this particular property. And so a cool workflow to this is we talked about this being a prospecting platform. So not only have we guided you to the most likely sellers, gotten you their information, including a contact information, you can also click on this and make the actual phone call to that particular owner. I'm going to hang up here so he doesn't get a weird phone call. But what you can then do is literally save this to the onboard contact manager, enter some notes, create a follow-up action, and you can log this call and save all of the information you just viewed into your very own contact manager online. And because we chose to create an action item, we can fulfill that. Okay, and you can give it a status, and you can give it a due date. Let's say they wanted to call back on Friday, and you can save that. Now that's going to create a calendar reminder for you, and you have now saved all of this into your contact manager. So the flow there was wonderful, right? We found all the properties that you were looking for, found the ones that are most likely to sell, which is the crux of this. We're able to find the information behind the LLC with a contact and phone number, made the call, made contact, made the notes, saved it to the contact manager, and you're on to the next call. Okay, so those of you that have been doing this for a long time should be familiar with how streamlined that is. So as Steve talked about earlier, we want to create less work for you so you can make more money. And I don't know about you, but sign me up for that deal any day of the week, although Steve's a taskmaster here. So that's really the demo. There's a lot of ways we can do this, whether it be using the Polygon search or what have you, but all you need to remember is that very simple selection, which is find a likely seller, which you can also do from this detailed property search. And that's really the demo. That's how simple we make it for you. Okay. Steve, do you want to add anything to that demo?
I'm breathless here, Warren. I can say honestly that I would add nothing to that demo. But I do think that what you highlighted is exactly right? And that is that that we really are trying to minimize the wasted marketing effort, right? And so that's really the key to all of this. So hopefully that gives everybody a good feel, for how it works. And to Warren's point, right, is just the checkbox, right? What I thought was interesting too, Warren, is that in this example, you actually went down and you check the likely sellers, which is the algorithm that's deciding, okay, what are the most probable to sell, but then also applied like the human logic piece as well that says, all right, I want to, not only do I want to tag, the ones that your algorithm says are going to sell, but I'm also going to further filter by owners that own multiple properties or what. So you can do this on top of itself, which is really cool. So yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. And so a couple of things. I mean, we can open this up for question and answer right now. And since we have Steve here, I think it's a great opportunity to pitch questions at him. And here's how we're going to do that. If you go to your control panel, typically that's on the right of your screen, you'll see a question box. Go ahead and type us questions, and we'll go ahead and answer those. And so I'm going to go ahead and just get that going real quickly. And while I'm doing that, I think, or while you're coming up with some questions, I think one more thing that I'll show you is, it's interesting. There's not much to show you in terms of how to find those likely sellers. But I think what's great about this is that you save so much time up front, and then it carries through to your entire kind of prospecting and marketing process. So we made the call, we made a note, we saved it to the contact manager, and I can see questions coming in. But what's kind of neat about that is, let's say that you actually got that listing now, and let me see if I can go back to that. And so that listing is where? That's on 11766 Wilshire Boulevard. So what's kind of cool about this is now you can even go in here and you can do another search. So let's kind of reset that search. And let's say I want to do a radius search around that particular property, 11766 Wilshire. I hope I remember that. There it is. And I can go in here and say, show me commercial offices. So I'm going to look for owners. So I want to now market your listing, for example. So show me all the ones that are right around that particular property. So simple search, I can make it even more detailed if I wanted. There's a lot of questions coming in, Steve. You're going to be girded up here. And so what's cool about this now is these are property owners that own a like property really close to the one you have listed. So if I wanted to, I could now go in here and use some of the integrated marketing tools. So let's say you didn't want to call these people, you want to just announce that you have that listing. You can actually go in here and create a postcard and announce your list that way. Real typical, marketing method. So you can go in here and create a postcard. You can upload the property photo. Let me name this thing, and I'll show you this, and then we'll get to the questions. Let's choose the file. Hopefully I have some sort of picture here, and I probably do buried in here somewhere. Oh, how about that one? Right, so there's your photo of the property now as it uploads. This is kind of cool. I just love this because there's nothing like the delayed gratification or the instant gratification of saying, oh, I got a listing, and you're going to price it out properly and all this kind of stuff. There's nothing worse than having to go out and take a photo and find somebody to do the postcards and then do the indicia, do the mailing, when you can do it all within Prospect Now. So now you can go next here and you can create, let's see, I think I have something on my desktop here, actually. So let me go ahead and get some copy of desktop. Bear with me, postcard text. And I can now select all this, copy, and you guys are probably seeing way too much, but that's okay. And I can drop that in here, and now this appears on the back of the card, right? And you can enter your return address and all of that. And so now you can now complete this and actually have Prospect Now create the postcards and mail them for you, all going to the owners of these properties, right? So from that workflow, and I'm just going to get out of that, soup to nuts, search of the right properties, use the likely seller, a predictive analytics function to identify the top of the pyramid. We made the phone calls, we got a meeting, we got the listing, and now I've created a postcard and sent it to likely sellers or likely buyers in the same neighborhood. So, when we talk about this prospecting platform, you can see it's everything from soup to nuts, right? Now you guys are going to do your magic and price it all right and do all of that. And that's high value. What you bring is experience and high value. What we bring is the ability to rapidly identify who you ought to be applying your value to. So if that makes any sense. So Steve, I'm going to go through some of these questions. Let's see if we can answer some of these questions. Let's see. So here's one from Richard, and maybe you can take this one, Steve. Is Prospect Now Contact Manager able to replace the need for a CRM, or do you recommend other CRMs that integrate best?
Yeah, that's a great question. It kind of runs the gamut, I would say. It depends on what you want to do. Our contact management system, for a lot of people, it's totally sufficient, right? It's, as you can see, it's very integrated and it's really simple. And so, I've come to the conclusion that, let's say you have two products, one has 100 features and the other has 10, but the product with the 10 features, 8 of those features are used, and the product with the 100 features, 3 of those features are used. So which one's better? So when you look at it from a CRM perspective, we don't really position this as a full-featured CRM. It's not like a Salesforce.com kind of level of a CRM. Having said that, though, because of its simplicity and integration into the data, a lot of people use it entirely as a CRM and find it totally sufficient. So I would leave that up to you. Depending on how sophisticated you want to get, we do have a very simple kind of push integration into the Salesforce platform, and so we like to play nice with everybody. I mean, there's a lot of different platforms out there. There's, if you want something that's kind of more customized for commercial real estate and built specifically for commercial real estate, ClientLook is a good one. If you're looking for one of the Salesforce platforms, Rethink is a good one. Apto is a good one. Ascendix, those are the kind of the Salesforce-based platforms, and they've all got their positives and negatives and what have you. So I know that's kind of a nuanced political answer, but it really is true. It really depends on what you're trying to do. And I've seen folks like use our system entirely and exclusively, and I've seen that work. So just really depends.
Great. Here's another question. This one is from, not sure, there's initials here. This is M, but this one here is for Steve as well. Does the new feature work with residential single-family residents?
Great question. So the answer is yes, it does. So what we did is we actually, when we're building the scores, we separate those two, and so everybody kind of knows that's have familiarity with Prospect. Now, our DNA is commercial. That's kind of where we come from. So commercial and I would say investment. But one of the reasons we added this capability into the single-family home side is because it's actually really interesting. 16.5% of all of the single-family homes in the U.S. are non-owner occupied, so they're investment properties, so or second homes, but the majority of these are investment properties, and so a lot of our customers play in that world, and that's the reason that we built the model as well for single family. So yes.
Great. And then question from Michelle to you, Steve. How current is your sales data?
It varies by geography. The easiest way to answer that question with, total authority is to go into your market and sort Prospect Now by the sales date. And you'll see the most current sale will give you a feel for how current it is. Typically, we update it every week. Sometimes it takes a week or two for us to get the sales data. So I would say, 2 to 3 weeks on average. Maybe some markets it goes a little more, but that's the easiest way to figure that out.
Great, Steve. We have one more question here from David. Can I send listings to tenants in the market area?
Yeah. We have a commercial tenant database as well. So yes, no question. That data is like business information, right? So you've probably seen on Prospect Now there's a tenants tab there, and you can click on that, and then it'll show you all the tenants in the building, or you could search for tenants by industry type or number of employees or what have you. So yes, that data exists.
Great, thanks, Steve. So I think that's going to wrap up the Q&A part of today. Steve, there was a couple of others. I don't know if you wanted to talk to this slide in terms of...
Oh, you know what? There's one other thing I do want to say, right, is for those people that are current Prospect Now customers, right, as of the time of this webinar, this feature is in your account, okay? And we may create a premium version of it down the road, but right now, like, you get this. There's no additional cost. Okay, this is part of the platform. So I would really encourage everybody that's a Prospect Now customer to go on and play with it and do your next marketing campaign with that likely sellers, checkbox that Warren showed enabled. And I think you'll find that you're going to have more conversations, you're going to have better response on mail, etc. And don't hesitate to reach out to us, right? We are continually improving on the model itself, right? And want to continue to do that. So if you've got a success story, if you've got something that you think we could do to make it better, a lot of the features in Prospect Now are totally customer driven. I mean, as many of you know, I was in commercial real estate, and so I have an empathy, right, for the role and what it is that you guys do. But having said that, it's also been a little while since I've done that, right? And so I got to rely on you guys, as well to send that feedback our way. And so, we really encourage you to get on there and play with it and let us know, how it works for you, what you think, et cetera, et cetera. But it's there. It's in there on your account right now. And if you don't have an account, then go get a trial, right? Get a 3-day free trial and go play with it. So, those options are available.
Great, Steve. Appreciate that. I think what we wanted to close with was just an example, and this is something we share with many people on these webinars, of an example of someone that used Prospect Now and uses it today to great success, right? And this is a guy named Ken Hoff, former sports broadcaster, who got into this business and really started using an approach of, direct outbound cold calling. And he used Prospect Now to find and close one of the largest deals a couple of years ago. And, again, results may vary, but this is an example of how using Prospect Now can really help you narrow your focus and direct your targets or direct your energies to high probability targets. That's what we're talking about here, right? So, instead of boiling the ocean, you can actually find the fish in the hole that you're looking for. And so, this is an example of success at an extreme, but it is an example of success nonetheless. And Steve talked about his vision for Prospect Now, and born out of the frustration and his personal experience of doing commercial real estate. And so, I think that this new feature, this new capability built into Prospect Now that you get today out of the box is something that's going to help you, right? And so, we encourage you, if you have any questions or if you want a demo in your specific area, feel free to give us a call, right? Give us a call. We are here and waiting for you. If you want that demonstration, just give us a call. The number's on the screen, and we'll be happy to do that. If you don't have the time and you want someone to give you a call for a demo, just find the chat window on your control panel and go ahead and type the word demo, and we'll get over to you as soon as we possibly can. Okay. Steve, anything else you want to close with?
I just want to thank everybody for taking their time. I think obviously we know time is valuable, and we appreciate it when you spend it with us. So yes, I would say good luck, happy prospecting, and we appreciate it.
Absolutely, Steve. Thanks for joining us today, Steve, and thanks for all those people that took the time to join us. Happy selling in 2016.
Thanks, Warren.
Thank you, Steve.